Hello, thanks for joining us today, and our title is Light and Life. Our verse of the day is taken from John chapter 1 and verse 4, and there it says, "In him was life, and the life was the light of men." But so you get the full power and purpose of this verse, allow me to begin in verse number 1. There it says, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God." Now this sounds familiar, right? Especially if you read Genesis chapter 1. And you would think that John is setting the story of Jesus back to Genesis 1:1, which says, "In the beginning God created the heaven and the earth." But actually, he rises above the historical understanding of the phrase "in the beginning," because the beginning mentioned here includes the beginning of time itself, even before time began. This is therefore shows us that Christ was there before the beginning. This is before anything that was made was made. John says that Jesus was present before Genesis 1:1, and also says that creation was only possible because of him. And so we see clearly the divinity of Christ, that actually Jesus is divine. And beyond a shadow of doubt, we see this presented here. A complementary verse is found in Colossians chapter 1 verse 16, which says, speaking of Jesus, "For by him were all things created, that are in heaven and that are in earth, visible and invisible, whether they be thrones or dominions or principalities, powers, all things were created by him and for him." Do you see how Jesus Christ becomes now the center of all things? In these verses, Jesus is shown to be the creator and consequently the source of life and health. In him is life. He is the center of the universe. If you read verse 17 of Colossians chapter 1, it says that and he is before all things, and by him all things consist. Jesus is as if he was the gravity of the universe, the center. He's the one that holds everything together, otherwise everything will be falling apart. In him we move and live and have our whole being. Sometimes in life, the reason why things fall apart is because Jesus is not present. Light is not present. So we see here that Jesus is not just another man. He is not just a historical figure. He is God. That's why he's able to say things like, "I am the resurrection and the life. I am the way, the truth, and the life." Now, this life is said to be the light of the world if you read verse 3. And of course, this is nothing other than the work that Jesus Christ has done through his prophets, through the Bible, and even through himself in person to show us the way, the truth, and the life. Now, let's dwell on our text a little longer and broaden it a little bit. It says that light shines in darkness, but the darkness comprehends it not. Now, comprehend in this sense is not used as understand, but is used to mean know, perceive. All right. Now, but first, of course, let's define a few other things here as well. What does light mean according to the Bible? Light is whatsoever that makes manifest, anything that reveals or makes visible. Without light, we stumble and fall and are at a great risk of many dangers, including even death. So Jesus came to reveal to us the difference between good and evil, without which we would be falling into sin, which consequently would lead to death, because the wages of sin is death. But even more profoundly, Jesus came to show us who God the Father is. Listen to this. "No man has seen God at any time, but the only begotten, he hath declared him." That word declared you will find is synonymous with reveal or manifest. This is the reason why Jesus is called the Word. We use words to speak our minds, and so Christ came to reveal or speak the heart or the mind of God. He is God's thoughts made audible, and so he's called the Word. Jesus is the light of the world in this sense, in that he provides wisdom, direction, meaning, and purpose of life. Yes, he provides even that life. The only problem that the verse reveals is that even amidst this great description of who Jesus is that darkness does not comprehend it. And of course, light and darkness are just not compatible. One is the opposite of the other. They're just antagonistic. But we need to understand these words, light and darkness, in their figurative meaning and exactly understand what they mean. Here we see that darkness does not get it. Darkness in the Bible commonly denotes ignorance, guilt, or misery. It refers to a wicked and ignorant people. You can check Isaiah 9, 1-2, Matthew 4:16, Acts 26:18, Ephesians 5:8 and 11, and of course Romans 13:12. I mean, just look at the world today and tell me, how is Jesus, the light of the world, regarded? Jesus is regarded as just another man. Even in Christian circles, we fail to get that he is the only way, the truth, and the life, that he is actually God. And so in the spirit of this text, I point you to Jesus. Verse 14 says, "And that the Word was made flesh and dwelt among us, and we beheld his glory, the glory of the only begotten of the Father, full of grace and truth." Jesus came into this world so that you should get it, so that you should know who God is. God is not this dictator who sits in the heaven waiting every time that you sin to judge you and send you to hell. No, Jesus came to show us that as opposed to man's conception of who God is, that God is love. Like the text further says, the law was given by Moses, but grace by Jesus Christ. So today I invite you into God's grace, into Jesus Christ's grace, that you should receive him today. He is the light of the world. He knows who God is. He can lead you to the Father. A few verses I want to share before we finish. One is found in the other books of John. It says that without the Son, he that does not have the Son does not have life, but he that has the Son has life. And so Jesus Christ is the one who can truly show you how to live your life. Try everything else, but you will end up finding that actually Jesus is the only one that has the perfect plan. Now, when I say Jesus, I do not mean Christian. Jesus is not synonymous with Christian or pastor or preacher. Jesus is Jesus. And when I say study Jesus, I mean look at his life. Read the words that he said. Because today there are many people who misrepresent who Jesus is. And so that's why I had to be very careful that when I say Jesus, I mean Jesus Christ, the one that was made flesh and died for our sins on the cross of Calvary.